Hi everybody, Jackie here and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a different kind of video. It's not a haul video, it's not a crafting video. As I have said before, I'm doing these videos almost as a memory keeper to remind me of things that have happened and places I've gone and things I've done. And a memory came to me last night while I was sleeping, and periodically throughout the future, I will be uploading videos like this. I want to tell you the story of Mack. Now, this is not made to make me seem like I'm a really good person, because I'm not. I'm human. I'm fallible just like anybody else. I have my quirks. I can be a bitch, but I have my nice side too. And I just really felt Mack was weighing on my heart, and I needed to tell his story. Several years ago in the late 90s, I was a store manager for a nationally known thrift store chain. And I'd worked the front register a lot, and I got to know all my regulars and all my customers. And Mack, and now while that's not his real name, and I won't use his real name here, that is his nickname, and that's what everybody called him, was Mack. Mack used to come in 2 or 3 times a day to look at, see what we had, because we were constantly putting new stuff out. And he wanted to, see what was going on. Well, Mack only lived like 2 blocks away from where our store was, and he didn't drive. He knew how to, he just didn't have a license and didn't have a car. And so he'd walk to our store 2 or 3 times a day. And on the weekends, he might come down. On Saturdays, he might come down there more often, Sometimes he'd buy something and sometimes he wouldn't. Well, working in the public, if anybody ever has, you learn, you be polite and friendly with everybody, and you try to joke and get along. And you learn which customers you can do that with and which customers you can't. And Mack was the kind of person, he always was mean and somber. And every time you'd see him, you could speak to him and he wouldn't say anything. So I just got to the point when he came up to the register, I just never checked him. I never said anything to him as I checked him out. I just, bring him up, bag him, tell him what his total was, give him his change back, and he'd be on his way. Well, this had rocked on for about, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 years. And I finally decided, you know what? I'm not going to change my personality just for this one person. I speak to everybody. I try to be friendly, and I'm going to do the same with Mack. So every time after when he'd come in the store, I don't care whether he bought anything or if he was just walking around looking, I'd make a point of going up to him and say, "Hey, Mack, how you doing today? What do you think of the weather? Yada, yada, yada." Just something to get some conversation started. And he'd never say anything. He might grunt or something, but that was it. Well, after about 2 or 3 months of this, he comes up to the register, and I go to check him out and say, "Hey, Mack, how you doing today?" And I got the shock of my life. He spoke back. He said, "I'm doing okay, Jackie. How about you?" And it was just like, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? He actually spoke back. So we started a conversation. So then every time after that, when he'd come in, he would speak to me and I would speak to him. And it got to the point where we got our shipments of new stuff to put out into the store on Thursdays. And everybody knew that. And they knew that was the day all the stuff was going out. So they'd come down there. Well, it got to the point where Mack would stand in the doorway to our stock room as I was, sorting things and pricing things. And he would talk to me about movies, about books, just anything. And it surprised me because I still didn't know anything about Mack except that he lived a couple blocks away and he lived with his mother and his older brother. Now, and this is not to say that he was a young guy. He wasn't. He was maybe 5 years younger than me at the time, if that. He was He'd worked up until he was 18. He was a heavy drinker. He was diagnosed with diabetes, and it was very severe diabetes, and he didn't control it the way he should. He didn't eat the way he should, but he had no income, and he depended upon his mother and his brother for what he had or didn't have. He might do odd jobs here and there, get a little money. And I knew his story, and I got to the point where I'd tell him, come on down after the store's closed, and I'll let you sweep and mop or help me carry out the trash, And I was making busy work for him so I could give him some cash, so that he'd have some money in his pocket. Well, long story short, this rocks on. We had an opening for a new employee in our store, and up to that point, it was all women. And I decided, we got donations all the time, and there'd be furniture and big, heavy boxes that, I don't care how strong you are, sometimes women just can't do it. So I talked to the manager, the regional manager, and they pretty much let me have control over who I hired or fired. And I explained to him his situation, that he worked at home, he didn't have a car, but he only lived 2 blocks away. He could get back and forth to work, no problem. And they said, yeah, hiring a good guy sounded like a good guy, a thing. But now he had to be trained to do everything. He couldn't just do all the heavy stuff. So I talked to him, and he was interested. Well, it started out, the very first day he started, we were moving locations. We had been renting a building, and they were moving us to a different location that was bigger and had more traffic, more visibility. So that first day he came in very handy, with moving racks of clothes and boxes of items and displays and things, and he was well worth his weight in gold. But then he came to me at the end of that day, and he said, now tomorrow we're going to be at the new store, and that's like 5 miles away, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there or not. And I said, well, Mac, that's no problem. I'll come down and pick you up, and then, when work's done, I'll drop you off. And he said, you do that for me? And I said, well, yeah, everybody needs a way to get to work and back. He said, I promise, this is my first job in years and years, and I haven't got my first paycheck yet, but I promise I'm going to get my license back and get a way to go. I said, no problem. Now, granted, it was 5 miles out of my way. We had moved to a location up on top of the mountain in Alabama, and he was still down in the valley. So every morning I'd have to drive down the mountain to the valley and pick him up and then go back up to the top of the mountain. And at the end of the day, I'd do the same thing backwards, Well, true to his word, in about 2 months, he had gotten his driver's license and got his own vehicle. And he started to come more and more out of his shell. He had money. He could do things. He had his own way to go. He wasn't dependent upon everybody for everything. And long story short, Mac worked for me for about 5 years. We changed locations again, and he came right with, and I changed jobs. I came out of that business and went to another job. And he got ill, and he got so bad he couldn't work anymore. His diabetes and his ketones got out of whack and everything, and he couldn't work anymore. And his mom died, and his brother moved in with his girlfriend, and Mac had no place to go. And as a friend, nothing more, nothing else, nothing sexual, I told Mac, I said, come stay at my house with me. And he said, but where will I sleep? He said, I've been to your house. I know how big it is. And it was a double wide trailer, and it had 4 bedrooms. But I had my sister and several of her kids living with us and everything. And I said, well, if you won't take this the wrong way or think anything funny about it, you could sleep in the bed with me. I said, no hanky-panky, just a place for you to rest your head. It's either that or the couch. You take your choice. So he said, okay. And I made room in the closet for his clothes and everything, and gave him some drawers in the chest of drawers so he'd have a place to put everything. And I had the main bedroom, so I had the bathroom attached to my bedroom, so he was able to put all his stuff in there. It didn't bother anybody in the house. He would go and visit his sister, go and visit his brother. He didn't stay at the house all the time or anything. And it rocked on for a long time. Like I said, we were good friends. I brought him out of his shell, and I was proud of that. And again, nothing was going on between us physically. He was just a good friend for me, and I was a good friend to him. And it finally got so bad, his illness got so bad, we had to finally call the ambulance one day for him. And he was in a coma for like 3 or 4 days, and he finally came out of it. And his sister said, come to my house and stay with me. You know, that's fine. That's his family. He should be with his family, you know. Nobody had ever offered him anything when his mother passed away. He didn't get an offer to go live with somebody. He was just homeless. And I made sure he wasn't homeless. So then, wasn't long, he was back in the hospital again. And so his one brother used to come in the store all the time, and he knew me, and he came or called me, and he said, Jackie, Mack's back in the hospital. I said, okay, I'm going to go up there. So I went up there to see him, and he was bad that time. He was really bad. His liver had stopped and everything, and he was on life support. And finally, there was just nothing they could do, and his family made the decision, you know, to take him off life support. So he passed. His family, especially his one sister, not his brother, but his one sister, I mean, she came at me raising hell about how I had let Matt get in that bad a shape. And I was like, excuse me, please, he's an adult. When your mother passed away and he had no place to go, did anybody offer him a place? I said, no, I did. I said, I'm the one who got Mack a job, who got Mack his independence and his ability to feel like a human being again. And I said, I will never feel guilty for what I did. When he got sick, I had to beg him to finally let me call the ambulance to take him to the hospital. I said, he got out and went to your house, and then he got sick again, and you got him to the hospital, and this is what happened. I said, don't ever blame this on me. I was a good person, and I did what I thought I could or what I thought I should. They buried him. They wouldn't let me know where. They wouldn't let me know when. I didn't get to go to services. And Mack was a really good friend to me. Not only that I felt proud of what I did, I felt proud of what he had accomplished, what he became. He became a human being again, and before that he wasn't. He wasn't. And I feel proud of that. And I'll love him like a brother till the day I die. And I regret to the day that I die that I didn't get to go to his funeral. And that his family closed me out like that. But they're the ones who have to live with that, not me. I can go to my grave knowing I did the best that I could for him, that I did what was supposed to be done for him, or what I felt needed to be done for him. And like I said, this is not to make me seem like a good person, because I'm not. I'm a teetotal bitch. I mean, I'll get up in your face, and you can ask my nephews. I've threatened to beat their wives when I thought they were, you know, doing unfair things to my nephews. I mean, I'm not as bad as I used to be. I used to think I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and now I know I'm only 5'9", and I'm not bulletproof. That's just the way it works. But there are some redeeming qualities to me. And like I said, the story of Mack has been weighing on my heart. I don't know if he'll ever be remembered by anybody other than his family. And I want the legacy of Mack to be out there on YouTube so people know that what you do does make a difference in people's lives, whether it's something good and it's beneficial to them, or whether it's bad and it's detrimental to them. Everything we do has a reaction to it. And like I said, I'm not the best person in the world. I don't claim to be an angel or anything like that. I just want the story of Mack to live on, and somewhere for him to know that he's still in my heart, and he always will be. All right, guys, please forgive me for this. I'm telling you, Mack meant a lot to me. And just as a friend, like I said, nothing any other thing. Just as a friend. And I wanted his story to go on. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.